So I just finished watching the Tesla Cybertruck event, and it was pretty interesting. Pretty short, only about 30 minutes. I thought it'd be closer to an hour. But I want to take a quick minute and talk about what was covered, all the details about the truck, the specs and everything else, and what I think about it overall and what it means for Tesla's strategy going forward. But before we begin, again, thank you so much for watching. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell icon for future videos. We are a channel dedicated to the future of technology, energy, and transportation. I'm Ricky, and this is To the Da Vinci. All right, so first and foremost, when the event first started and the truck rolled out, my first thought was, I am so glad that I have a reservation for a Tesla Model 3 Performance. What I mean by that is, at first I thought the truck was really weird looking. I wasn't especially impressed, and it just reminded me how excited I am about my Model 3. But I think, and near the end we'll talk about this, but the Cybertruck and the Model 3 are completely different approaches to Tesla's strategy, and we'll talk about exactly what I mean by that. But the Cybertruck is otherworldly. There's nothing like it, and Elon said as much. He showed 100 years of truck evolution, and they've all kind of look the same. There's a long hood where a big V8 usually engine goes, and the cabin and everything else follows suit. And this is a page one rewrite. This is kind of the truck reimagined. So my first thought was it has a very wedged shape, which is a departure from Tesla's typical highly aerodynamic design language. As an EV, range is really hard to achieve and requires thousands of dollars in batteries and weight. So aerodynamics and lowering drag is such a key part of Tesla's cars. Look at all of them, the door handles, down to the minute details. It's all in the interest of lowering drag. But the truck is a bit of a departure. That really steep kind of triangle shape on top is going to cause flow separation, probably at higher speeds, but again, it's a pickup truck, maybe not the biggest of deals. The fender archers are very sharp and kind of like a big pentagon, and all of it just screams like, kind of look at me, bold and dynamic, without being especially beholden to any of their cars that they've designed to date. And that was pretty much what he promised. Elon pretty much said that this is going to be a truck that is not for everybody. It's going to be incredibly futuristic, and I think he delivered on that front. As the event rolled on, I found myself liking the truck more. When I first saw it, I was thinking, wow, that's really out there. But as the event wore on, I thought, okay, this is pretty interesting. He talked about how he kind of brought the strength to the outside of the vehicle, calling upon the exoskeleton as kind of the load bearing and how the actual truck bears some of that weight. He mentioned that, early biplanes were very kind of trunk focused and had all the weight kind of bearing internally. And as we got more advanced with bigger and better aero fighters, we had more of a skin that carried more of the stresses and led to pretty amazing performance and internal storage capabilities. And that's what he's hoping with the truck as well. So a lot of the comments that we got when we made the first video on what to expect with the pickup truck, a lot of the commenters said they need at least a 6-foot bed, and the Tesla pickup truck will have a 6.5-foot bed. It'll tow 14,000 pounds, and Elon showed it in a tug of war with a Ford F-150, and it just dominated it. I have no doubt believing that, because low down torque for an electric car is going to be substantial. And in classic Tesla fashion, 0 to 60 for the highest trim, I think, in 2.9 seconds, which is mind-boggling for a truck. And the quarter mile is achieved in about 10.8 seconds. Now, one thing that's really cool about this, and I think most truck owners will appreciate it, is it has a fully adaptive air suspension. So it can drop to really low aerodynamic settings for freeway speeds, but then raise up to a max clearance of 16 inches when going off-road or towing or anything else. So that should be pretty best in class and pretty appreciated for people who go off-roading. And the ranges come in at 250, 300, and 500 plus miles of range. So that's pretty interesting. It'll have the fastest charging for an EV at 250 kilowatts. And the truck will even have onboard 110 and 220 volt outlets to power your different tools or accessories. If you're going camping or to a job site, it'll be able to power all of your tools. And what was really interesting is, because it has a pneumatic air suspension, he said you can actually come off of that, tap off that system, and power your air tools with a built-in compressor. I think that kind of stuff is going to be really interesting for anybody who does work with a pickup truck. You probably noticed that I am not in my usual office, and that's because we are doing a full renovation in our office. And the drywallers who do this kind of work have to lug around big air compressors. And that's just one less thing to have to worry about with this truck. So there's some clout and there's some interesting things for people who do hardcore work. It'll have autopilot, of course, and the starting price tag is $39,900, which I think rounds it out and shows that it's a pretty compelling offering. So one other detail that they went to great length is about being tough. So again, if you're going to make a truck and compete with people who call trucks tough, Elon believes, well, as an EV, kind of the new entrant into the arena, you have to show that you're the toughest of them all. So he went into great detail about the cold rolled, ultra hard stainless steel alloy that they employ for the truck. And this should be interesting and really tough and durable. They had Franz take a sledgehammer to the truck and it came out unscathed pretty much. But where the event kind of went off the rails is when they talked about how strong their glass was. It's a tempered, really strong, shatterproof, bulletproof glass. And in the demos, they dropped big, heavy ball bearings at very high heights and had no problems. But in the live demo, when they threw the balls at the car, both the front and rear passenger glasses both cracked. And for the rest of the event, that cracked glass was on screen. And I think it kind of bothered Elon a little bit. I think he was a little bit irked by the whole thing. But he got through the presentation. And by the end of the event, they had the truck listed on their website and all the different specifications. So it'll have a single motor rear wheel drive that has a 250-mile range. It'll do 0-60 in about 6.5 seconds. And it'll cost $39,900. For a dual motor all-wheel drive with 300 miles of range, we're looking at $49,900. And the tri-motor all-wheel drive will be 500 plus miles of range, and that's the one that does 0-60 in 2.9 seconds and will cost $69,900. Now that might sound like a lot of money, but if you go fully spec out a Ford F-250 or Ford F-350 or a dually, some of these really highly configured trucks, you'll see that they're really expensive. And I think all three trims from a price perspective are really competitive. And by the way, all these prices are no tax credits or anything else. There's going to be no federal tax credit by the time this truck comes out. And state credits may or may not be there, but all these prices are just flat prices. My first thought, by the way, about this was that the federal tax credit for EVs, I think, was incredibly successful. Because if you think about their earlier cars, they always used the post-tax credit price. And that was because these cars were a little more expensive back then. And I'm not saying that these prices are cheap. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it shows you that they can stand on their own. And now that the federal tax credit has been eliminated for Tesla and all their prices now seem more competitive, I think it shows you the power of giving a little bit of a leg up for new technologies to emerge and let them stand on their own after a couple of years. And I think the truck was probably the first product that I've seen where I thought, wow, these prices are pretty much dead on. Now the styling is going to be incredibly polarizing. When I was watching the live stream, all the comments were either, is this a joke? Elon, come out and say, psych, just kidding, here's the real truck. Or this is terrible or ugly. I think this is going to be an incredibly polarizing truck. And that's okay. The first thing is, I personally wouldn't buy this truck. I'm not really a big truck guy. And after watching it unveiled, I didn't feel the overwhelming need to pick one up and buy one. But it accomplishes what Tesla set out to do, which is deliver the hardcore smackdown to trucks. So Elon pretty much said this truck isn't going to be for everybody. So what that tells me, this is not going to be mass market. This is not the Tesla Model 3. This is going to be more like the Model X, where they'll make 10,000 or 15,000 a year in the US or a couple thousand here and there abroad. But this is not a car that they're expecting to sell by the millions. And that's totally okay. I think what Elon wanted to do is the same thing he's done in every other category of car. His first car was a Roadster, because until they made the Roadster, when people thought electric, they thought Nissan Leaf and Toyota Prius. Those were what people thought. And people who loved the environment or wanted to go green or anything else, they would think to themselves, man, I got to trade my gas car that I love, my Porsche or my BMW or whatever else, to go buy this boring economy box. And Elon said, actually, no. Our Roadster is going to be faster and better in every way than a gas car. And so that was their first attempt. Then the Model S, they have continued to improve upon the P100D ludicrous mode. They're working on a Plaid edition with the new Raven drivetrain. They have proven that electric cars are far superior in almost every way. The one thing that is left to tackle is price. And Tesla says, you know what? That'll be the final piece. They might be expensive, but you should desire them. They are better and you should want to have one. It's not like, oh, I kind of want to go electric, but I hate that I'm going to have to drive some boring old Chevy Bolt or Prius, right? So what they've done is they have shown that sports cars can be electric. When the Tesla Roadster comes out, I think that every gas car is going to just appear silly overnight. I think the best competition is going to be the hybrids that have electric motors as well, like the Porsche 918 maybe. But sports cars are going to look very dated very quickly. Cars and sedans are already looking that way. My Tesla Model 3 Performance for 57,000 is the bargain of a lifetime. We're talking like BMW M3 N5 Performance with the economy and cost per mile that's cheaper than a Prius. I mean, it's just a perfect car, and I'm just so excited about it. So with the truck, Tesla says, for all you truck owners out there, this truck might not be for you. Maybe we don't have the manufacturing lines to build this anyway, but let's just show you what your future truck is going to be like. It's going to haul 3,500 pounds, tow 14,000 pounds, go 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. You can beat Porsches off the line and power all your tools and go 500 miles. And it'll cost you less to operate than, again, like a Prius because of just how efficient and just how cheap electricity is compared to gasoline. So now that we think about it under that lens, I think the truck makes more sense. Again, if you don't like it, that's okay. There are going to be people who buy it. I bet you they will sell every one they make. Here's my prediction. They'll sell every one they make. They're going to be loved. People are going to show them off. And when you see one, you're going to go, whoa, what is that? Let me go check it out. Even if you didn't like it during the reveal, you're going to love it when you see it on the road in a couple years. And it'll be the test bed to show people, here's why the electric pickup truck is going to be the future and why your current gas truck will probably be your last. And that just hasn't happened yet. Rivian's making a truck as well. There's a couple of others. This is just another entrant. It'll be interesting to see which one actually makes it first and starts producing and shipping cars. But I think Tesla's going to focus on just the SmackDown part. And then maybe in 4 or 5 years when they have more manufacturing capabilities, then they'll have a truck called the Tesla Model P. And it'll actually be mass market. It'll be 100,000 a month. And they'll sell it in bigger numbers. And that might be more conventional or more in line with Tesla's design language. But this first truck is a kind of a conversation starter. Anyone who has one will get constant attention on the road and people asking questions about what it is and can I drive in it. So I think that's the part of it that we have to remember. I do wish the event was longer. I wish they showed off the inside and other things. It seemed a bit gimmicky at times when they were just dropping things on it and hitting it with sledgehammers. These are things that I personally don't care about. I'm not saying that it's not cool that the truck is very tough and strong. And again, truck owners, I think they can appreciate that kind of stuff. But what I really wanted to see was the inside, some of the tech, more of kind of what makes it a Tesla. But overall, I think it was a cool event. There was the one more thing with the, we also built an ATV. There weren't any details, so I'm not really sure if it's ready for prime time. But don't be surprised if you log on Tesla's website and one day there's going to be an ATV next to all the other cars and stuff. That can happen. But right now, the Cybertruck is up. You can reserve one and get in line to get one, hopefully in the next year or so. And that pretty much wraps it up for us. We're interested. We think it's cool. I think it will be phase 1 of their chapter of how to dominate trucks and SUVs and that whole segment, which is a segment that is completely detached from cars and sedans. Those two buying groups are completely different. So I think Tesla has clearly demonstrated their value in one. Now they do the same in the other. And maybe in 4 or 5 years, they have the Tesla Model P, which will be the pickup truck or something like that. That'll be more mass market. But yeah, that's what we think. What do you guys think? Were you guys shocked? Did you think it was kind of a joke or that it was over? Do you think it's ugly or do you think it's cool? There's a lot to like about it too. I mean, it's pretty cool. It has that bed cover that wraps up and kind of goes back and retracts into the body, revealing the 6.5 foot bed. And the tailgate has a kind of extra dropout to roll motorcycles and ATVs right into the bed. That's all cool stuff. So clearly, I think if you can nail that sort of stuff, you'll get that lifestyle pickup truck buyer, and I think it's going to just help them with their strategy from there. So that pretty much does it, guys. Don't forget to hit the like, share the video, and leave us your comments as always. Yeah, I'm Ricky with Tuba Da Vinci. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.